A small but persistent office in the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, part of the Commerce Department, has been working over the years to bridge one valley in the digital divide. The campuses of historically black colleges and universities, as well as other tribal and minority-serving institutions. We get an update now from the acting director of the Office of Minority Broadband Initiatives, Dominique Harrison. Dr. Harrison, good to have you with us.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
Well, tell us basically what the OMBI, the Office of Minority Broadband Initiatives, basically does.
Yes, so the Office of Minority Broadband Initiative was codified through legislation of the Consolidated Appropriations Act in 2021. And we offer, in partnership with HBCUs, which are historically black colleges and universities, Hispanic serving institutions, and tribal colleges and universities, the ability to partner on providing more access to broadband to those institutions, but also to their surrounding communities. One of the premises of our work is that anchor institutions, of which include higher institutions and libraries and other kind of important institutions around our community, are so important in bringing resources and information to those who are in need. And so one of the ways that we see as being able to, close the digital divide is to work with HBCUs, TCUs, HSIs, and minority serving institutions to provide broadband. So under our office, we also foresee the Connecting Minority Communities Pilot Program, which is a program that gave funding to these institutions, HBCUs and minority serving institutions, as a way to close the digital divide. One of the things that people have used their funding for is to provide access to internet on their campus and their surrounding community, and to make upgrades to their infrastructure. That means having more bandwidth and capacity to do different kinds of things online. The second is that funding has been used to buy devices and even hotspots so that students and community members are able to access the internet. And lastly, folks have used this funding to develop training and courses around digital literacy, telehealth, and such that helps folks who want to be online being able to use the internet in ways that are useful to their lives. So that's just a little bit about the office.
And I imagine the situations vary. For example, a well-known college like Morehouse is in the Atlanta area where you have a very rich infrastructure generally. So the challenge there might be different than any institution, HBCU or otherwise, that's in a rural area where nobody has great broadband. Fair to say?
Absolutely. I mean, we've had conversations with grantees and universities that are in rural environments. And yes, the challenges and the need are different, but there are a lot of similarity to those who are in urban areas, which much larger populations. Particularly smaller universities with smaller headcount of students, may not have the funding or the resources to advance their broadband infrastructure or provide devices to their students. And so those are the type of grantees that we've been able to support and see some of the incredible work that they've carried out through their projects. I want to mention that our colleagues on the digital equity team at NTIA, have started to give out billions of dollars as it relates to closing the digital divide. And they're working across 8 covered populations in terms of being able to provide broadband. And some of those populations include our grantees, including rural communities. I just want to, just mention in my prior work, I did some research on African Americans in the rural South. And what's very intriguing about that area is that there's been a lot of loss with companies that move to, out of the South, or work that has been transferred overseas, right? You have low education rates, you have high unemployment, you have a number of hospitals that have left the area, right? And so all of this creates the situation and context for the need for broadband infrastructure so that folks who are and who remain in those communities have access to these types of resources and information.
We are speaking with Dominique Harrison. She's acting director of the Office of Minority Broadband Initiatives, part of the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. And even in an area, as you point out, that might be rich in broadband and fiber, et cetera, within a campus of, say, a minority-serving institution, that may not have, let's use the example of medical school. Well, medicine is going tele, and remote surgery and robotics and artificial intelligence. And so for a given course, the nearby big rich college, which can afford all of those devices and remote robotics and so forth, even though they both have equal broadband, the other school may not have the resources to take advantage of it, is what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely. And that's just the great thing about all of the amazing work that's being done by the grantee. With modest funding, they've been able to have such an impact on their students and community members. As I mentioned, you brought up Morehouse School of Medicine, and they have a great telehealth digital equity project in which their students are using funding to buy iPads, but also to get training and being able to have the kind of latest skilling in, using technology in medicine, right? But they're also being able to connect with community members and at clinics around the Atlanta area to provide telehealth services. As many of folks know, during COVID, during the pandemic, a lot of folks realized it just emphasized the digital divide, right? And so many people had to turn online for services such as, giving information about COVID and signing up for those tests. And HBCUs, along with other minority serving institutions, played an important part in being able to provide that kind of information to help people sign up for shots and get the treatment that they need. And so it's just remarkable how folks are able to tailor their project to the specific kind of challenges and opportunities in which the communities that they serve.
And is the office, that is the Office of Minority Broadband Initiatives, are you primarily a grant-making organization? And give us a sense of the volume of grant applications that come in. What kind of funding are you able to offer in a given year?
Yes, absolutely. So OMBI is a federally funded grant-making office. All of the funding has already been distributed, and it went to 93 universities, including HBCUs, HSIs, tribal colleges and universities, and minority-serving institutions. And by the way, when I say these different types of universities, I'm saying it because they're a unique definition to all four of those categories.
Understood.
And so we gave around $268 million to those 93 universities. You can find more information about those specific projects on our OMBI website under ntia.gov. But the amount of applications that we actually received exceeded over $800 million in funding requested, and over 200 applications. So it just emphasizes that there is still so much work to be done. But given the funding that we have, I think we've done a great job in, really living out the mission and vision of what this organization was developed for. I also want to say that our colleagues on our BEAD team, that's Broadband Equity Access Deployment Program, as well as the Digital Equity Program, have many billions of dollars of funding that they're providing right now to states and specific kind of stakeholders to provide access to the internet, but also to build the infrastructure. So we are all, working in tandem to address these challenges in different ways.
Well, maybe they should have a different name than the B team when they have that much funding. But will your office get more funding for another round once Congress gets around to appropriations for 2025?
Well, that is the desire. We're hoping to continue this work. I mean, for the future, what we're hoping to do is to continue to provide technical assistance to our grantees and supporting them through the duration of their projects to make sure that they are successful, but also to provide, resources, information that help to sustain those partnerships and the projects that they're doing. The great thing is that our DE colleagues continue to have funding that will roll out and also have a competitive